I feel there are some things in the houseplant community that get talked about a lot, like some plants that we are wish listing, plants that we are hauling, some trendy plants, some plants that you can make your money off of, and there has been some tea drinking, which healthy habit, I don't know. But you know what I haven't seen? Some talks about how kind of it is challenging to keep up with a large plant collection, and I want to talk about it. Yes, I am a hero in my own time. Hashtag brave. The goal of this video is not for me to be negative or shady or anything like that. Quite the opposite. I do love collecting houseplants and I would love more people to collect houseplants. And I feel that we need to be talking about both sides of the hobby, the good sides, which again get highlighted all the time, but also some of the challenges so people know exactly what they are getting into. And well, I mean, it also serves my secret goal, which is not so secret, and that is for everyone to have 10 houseplants, 10 real houseplants, preferably Hoyas. And I actually don't really care so much about all the houseplant trends, all the list stuff, but I will occasionally bend to the algorithm as much as I can. I am, after all, a Taurus, so not quite flexible. Though I will tell you, there were days where there was quite a lot of flexibility present. There were days when I could put both of my feet behind my neck. And I used that ability one time when I was an exchange student in the US to get my class out of pre-calc pop quiz. I, for whatever reason, was in this situation, which I don't really know how I was in that situation, where if I could prove that I could put both of my feet behind my neck, the class would get out of the pop quiz. How did I get into that situation? And how did I get to talking about that on the channel? It's a weird intro. Moving on. Now listen, I want you to strap in because I will start with the negative aspects, but I promise you this. I will end on a high note because after all, I am a tenor and that is something that you should have known by now. Even though I feel that one dude didn't when he left a comment asking if I'm trying to sound like a baby, no. But also, if you're hanging around babies that sound like me, I'm concerned. Because, like, have you seen The Orphan? Might be in trouble there. Number one, which is also potentially the last number that I will use because I just hate keeping track of the numbers. This is a very expensive hobby. All the supplies that you will need cost a pretty penny, and that is just on top of the cost of plants, which don't have to cost as much. And of course, we can trade the plants, but also if you want some pretty rare plants, that is gonna cost some money, even when you can trade. But the supplies cost money. And I really feel this is something that no one talks about. Like, yeah, it's sprinkled here and there in the comment sections, but no one really talks about this stuff like IKEA greenhouse cabinets, the grow tents, the grow lights, the pots, the lechuza pots. My gosh, when someone is using lechuza pots, I'm like, old money. I'm joking, but I also have IKEA greenhouse cabinets or just the cabinets and have made videos about them, but trust me, that took like a year of planning. Making decisions is not something that I lightly do, and all my friends are most likely very annoyed by that, but literally took me an entire year to buy Millsville cabinet, and it increased in price until I finally decided to buy it, so that was actually not a great purchase at all. But all I'm saying, not a rash decision, not something that I did easily. All the decisions, all the purchasing decisions here, they have been through at least 10 iterations of thought processes. And even without all the blows, without all the balls, and even without all the balls, oh my gosh. And even without all the blows and whistles, this is a pretty expensive hobby. Just imagine owning 100 plants and having to repot them every year or every other year. That alone is a significant cost. It's definitely not a free hobby. You need to buy potting mixes, amendments, pots. Even the cheapest pots are about €1 or $1 depending where you live, unless you just want to grow in regular nursery pots. And of course, there is a whole aesthetic to the houseplant community, and you will be judged. I feel judged all the time, and that's a topic for like a separate video, but I feel this needs to be talked about, the aesthetic. Pots cost money. Cover pots, oh my gosh, old money, right? But no, really. Where do we get all the money? And of course, when you grow houseplants, you usually tend to start experimenting at one point, meaning that, for example, when I was starting out, I started out growing in terracotta pots. And very quickly, but not quickly enough, because I did buy over 100 pots. But very quickly, I discovered it is not for me. This is a 3x4 or 4x5 room. I can't really estimate, but something like that. And it is also a bedroom. And just imagine over 100 plants in terracotta pots, and imagine watering that. It doesn't matter, summer or winter. The smell of wet terracotta, it is not for me. And then of course in winter, the mold, absolutely not. So now I have over 100 of used and a lot of unused terracotta pots that just sit there. I gifted a lot of them away, but there's still a lot of them there that I just don't know what to do with them. I don't want to sell them. It takes a lot of time. I don't want to ship them. I don't think it's allowed to take them just out. And also, if I take them out in front of the house, I risk someone just breaking them out of fun. So yeah, now I'm just stuck with 100 terracotta pots that cost a pretty penny. Then I changed to a different kind of pot, and now I'm changing to self-watering pots because there are so many plants, and that is a system that actually really works for me. And I wish I found that out in the beginning, and that's why I keep mentioning stuff like this on the channel, so other people don't make the same mistakes that I do. Mistakes that cost money. And of course, when you are unhinged like me, you cannot just change your setup doing like 10 plants. No, you test it out, you see this works after like 2 weeks, and then you're changing everything. So yeah, it costs a lot of money. The hobby costs a lot of money. But you know what doesn't cost a lot of money? Listening to me talk about the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp, because I will be needing new pots. If you're like me and you perhaps tend to overly focus on some things, obsessed, if you are perhaps a tad bit anxious, or what I like to call it, 100 possible outcomes in which a situation can go very wrong, maybe this is something for you. Maybe we don't need to overly focus on some things, and maybe all of those 100 scenarios are not all super realistic, and we can rationalize the situation a bit more, and we don't have to be worried so much about that. Imagine that. Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue such as depression or anxiety, or you're just a human on planet Earth, and I really hope that you are, that there are like no aliens watching this on planet Earth or off planet Earth. Therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a different way. And that is why I'm excited to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, and it is a very important mission because finding a therapist can be difficult, especially if you live in an area where there aren't a lot of options. BetterHelp is an online platform that makes finding a therapist much easier because it is online and it is remote, and just by filling out a few questions, they can match you with your professional therapist in just as little as few days. It is easy to sign up for and get matched with a therapist. I have a link in the description for you, betterhelp.com/basiplans. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/basiplans. Clicking that link not only helps support my channel, but it is great for you as well because I got you a 10% deal off your first month with BetterHelp, so you can click that link and match with a therapist and see if therapy is right for you. And because finding the right therapist is a bit like online dating, it is completely normal and very common for you and your therapist not to be the right fit, and you can switch to another one free of charge, and you don't have to worry about things like insurance, whether they are in your network or anything similar like that. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. You can click the link in the description or visit the link betterhelp.com/basiplans. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/basiplans. Thank you, BetterHelp, for supporting the channel, and thank everyone for sticking through. Now we can go back to the video. Point number 2. This is a very demanding hobby. There are a lot of things to do when it comes to taking care of plants, even if you have a smaller collection like 20 or 30 plants, which to me right now feels like honestly no plants at all, but that's not true. That is a very, very, very healthy amount of plants. It just takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of work to take care of a collection that has 100, 200, or 300 plants. It is a lot to water. It is a lot to repot, it is a lot to trellis, it is a lot to deal with when it comes to pests. If you have a pest outbreak, it can be really, really challenging. And I feel this is something that not a lot of people talk about. You know, we see all of these beautiful interiors on Instagram that look like true indoor jungles, but after taking care of plants for such a long time, you know what I see? I see pests jumping from this to this to this to this. That's what I see. I'm just like the most optimistic person ever that walked on planet Earth. I really sometimes don't know how I do it. It's not that I don't enjoy it, I still think it's a beautiful photo, but I am kind of able to see the reality of that. But when I look in the comments, what I see is people really wanting their homes to be like that. They're dreaming about that. It's their goals. I think it is perfectly fine to have an indoor jungle. If that is your vibe, that is your vibe. There is nothing wrong with having that vibe. People like different types of interior design, and I feel that right now plants are very popular for that. What I want people to know is that is a lot of work. It's not just watering the plants, you know, every week and just sitting back and enjoying and watching your beautiful indoor jungle. No, it is watering your plants and then taking everything out to shower them, or taking it out to spray them, or whatever needs to be done. It's actually not a lot of sitting back and just staring. That's, I would say, the least that I do. Just sit back and look at the plants and enjoy. It's much more hands-on experience, which is fine. I like it. That's why I do it. But I feel that not everyone gets that when they see a photo like that. My recommendation here is start small. Start small. Start with maybe 5 plants and then increase at a reasonable pace. And I know I just had like a 50 Hoya haul or 50 Hoya cutting saw, but I know that that's something that I can handle because I handled it before. But if you don't know, if you're just starting out, you don't know what it means to go from 10 to 50. It's not the same. It's a big difference between 10 and 50 plants in your home, or 10 and 100. And I think when we start to collect plants, it doesn't feel like a lot in the beginning. You know, you get 5 plants or 10 plants, and next week you have 15 and then 20. And it seems that you're gradually increasing the difficulty, but you're actually not, because the difficulties don't happen right away. It's usually half a year in or a year in. And it happened to me that in late 2020 and 2021, I was collecting a bit of aeroids and I was like, this is fine. And then early this year, I was like, no, absolutely no more aeroids. They're too big, they get way too big. Some of these grew way too large and out of control. And while beautiful, what am I gonna do with that? For me, it's a bit too much to take care of so many aeroids. And you have probably noticed, if you're a regular viewer, that I don't have as many aeroids anymore. I have maybe 10. I feel that's maybe even a stretch. Another thing that can be very helpful is to get self-watering pots. I really should be sponsored by self-watering pots. Is there like one place for that? They really, really help. And I don't think it's bad to start buying self-watering pots right from the bat if you know that you have a busy lifestyle and you know that you're not going to be able to dedicate more than just weekends. And trust me, sometimes having weekends off to take care of your plants is not enough. I am lucky that I do what I do because there have been weeks where I had to take care of my plants pretty intensively and daily, where everything had to be sprayed, everything had to be treated for pests. It was like 10-hour days. And that is not something that you can do on top of your job if you have like a really large collection, or you know, you have to watch them suffer. And I don't think this is very good for us. Which brings me to the next point. It can negatively impact your mental health. You start to feel that you are not capable enough, and it just means you have too many plans. And I think people get stuck in this mindset a lot, but it just means you have to get rid of some of them, and that's completely fine. I don't know why we see it as a defeat sometimes. It's not. It is perfectly normal to have not 600 plants in the home. Completely fine to be like 100 limit, 50 limit, whatever. It's not a defeat. It's not that you're not capable, but it is, you know, when you have a lot of plants, what inevitably starts to happen is there are going to be ugly plants, there are going to be empty pots, and that is just difficult to watch. It's difficult to watch a plant that you know is suffering, you know it needs to be taken care of, but you just cannot. You don't have the time or the energy or both. What I suggest here is to kind of not worry about it. I also have a video on this, which I will link somewhere because I never know which side is which here. I have a video on this topic, and I think this is something that needs more discussion. I think it's very important because there have been many times where I felt burnt out, where I felt this is too much. I just have to stop. The truth is, most of the plants will look great, but for whatever reason, it's like you got 5 that look really, really crappy, and suddenly you're like incapable of taking care of plants while you have hundreds that thrive. So it can really impact your mental health, and that's not the point. This is another aspect that I don't really like, and I have to be honest, I don't really know how to get out of this, and that is that the people's perception of you will change. You know, you are the plant person. You are the person they go for plant advice. And suddenly, all you can talk about are plants. And this is something that I don't like. I have to tell you, honestly, I don't like the term plant friends. I hate the term plant friends. It just means to me that we are nothing to each other. Like, if you tell me plant friend, you're dead to me. I will tell dead to me. No, don't tell me plant friend. We don't have to be friends. But if you tell me plant friend, that's like just spit in my grave. What are you doing? Don't tell me plant friend. I don't like it. I don't like that term at all. I don't know why. It just really bothers me so much because I would like to believe that yes, we connected maybe through plants, but there is more to the friendship than that because some hobbies are not for forever, and I would like to know that I met a person that genuinely will stick with me even if I maybe decide not to grow plants, which I don't really see happening, but you know, maybe you're gonna be the weak one. We gotta find topics that don't revolve around plants, and that is like kind of what I try to do on the channel from time to time, is not always talk about plants, even though I'm doing a very poor job of that. There is just like so many layers to us as people that I think it's ridiculous to just focus on this one thing, which doesn't mean I hate plants. It cannot be 24/7. Cannot be 24/7. Okay, let's talk about the positive stuff. This is a very, very rewarding hobby. It is, I would say, a high-paced hobby when, you know, things constantly change. And I think it can be good for people who kind of tend to change hobbies maybe frequently. I think this is the one that kind of makes you stick because there's so many things. First of all, there's so many things to grow. There's so many things to figure out. Stuff is happening all the time. Plants are not boring depending what you grow. Of course, if you grow calathea or cacti, I don't know what to tell you, but if you grow Hoyas, plants are blooming, they're growing leaves all the time. You have to take cuttings and root the cuttings. You're basically magical trying to cross-pollinate, to sow seeds. There's so many things to be excited about. And I really feel sorry for people who kind of started with the hobby and because they burned out so fast, because we just had an absolutely mind-blowing, insane houseplant boom in 2020. I feel very sorry that those people got burned out too fast, and you know, this wasn't very paced for a lot of people because they didn't have this video. Yes, I am a hero in my own time. But I do hope that maybe some people will come back to the hobby because I genuinely would like all people to grow plants. I think it's important. I think there's something beautiful about it, but I just feel sad that a lot of people are missing out and maybe they got to hate plants because, again, it was not normal then. The prices were outrageous. You get rare plant, you don't know anything about it, and then it starts to die, and it's a big disappointment. For someone starting out now, it is much different. The prices are different. The availability of plants is different. So I feel that it doesn't have to be like that. Of course, this is not a hobby for everyone. That is not what I'm saying, but I also would like to point out how helpful this was in 2020, in the challenging years, which I don't think the challenging years have ended. We have different challenges, right? And it helped a lot of people. Indoor gardening, houseplant care. It really was therapeutical, and that's kind of the second benefit. It can be very, very therapeutical hobby, or at least that's what I feel like. It's not like that all the time. taking care of plants is not some romanticized thing that you often see on TikTok or Instagram, but it is a lot of the time very therapeutical. You just, put some nice music on and water your plants, and it can be like a very nice day. Even though if it's very exhausting, it's a lot of work, it's still really enjoyable. Yes, that is a negative side, kind of, that it is a lot of work, and if you're not prepared and if you don't know about it, you're kind of be like, oh, I didn't really expect that. I was just expecting what I saw on Instagram for this to be relaxing and it seemed so nice. But it is that, but it is this other thing as well. All of the negative things that I kind of talked about, they do have like a positive aspect to them. It is a very therapeutical thing to repot your plants, to cut your plants, to make cuttings, to root those cuttings, to see the plant that you cared for several years bloom. I have one. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Like, this is a plant I got in 2019. It's a Huever tessellata EPC 997, and she's been mistreated. She has had mites. She has been cut multiple times. She has been repotted multiple times too. And she finally bloomed. It took her way, way, way longer than it should have, and I feel just so proud of that she finally bloomed. And I kind of could have gotten back on track with the care for this plant, or for plants in general, because there was that challenging period in my life where I was depressed and I couldn't do anything. And of course my plants suffered, but at one point I picked it up again and it started to really feel sort of healing in a way. And of course, the friendships that you make. First of all, you're connecting with people who have so many similar interests like you. There are a lot of people in plant community that, we just vibe, because a lot of people will have similar worldviews. Not everyone, of course. That's never gonna happen, but you will find a lot of your people. And houseplant community is a great community where you can really make a lot of friends. I've made friends everywhere. Now when I think about it, it's absolutely insane. I have friends in Switzerland, in France, in Sweden, Poland, in US, in Australia. I just have friends everywhere, in the UK. I think that's a very beautiful thing if one day we decide to have a voyage out and travel the world, that there will be places to stay and people to see and meet in person. And of course, for me, it has been absolutely amazing, because this is sort of my job now, making content about houseplants. And there are just so many beautiful things that you will learn. If you're a nerd, you can be a plant nerd. Hello, here I am. It is really a wholesome place. That is all for today. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that I kind of helped balance this whole thing, because again, it's not just negative, it's not just positive, it's mix of both, as with all things. But I really was bothered for such a long time that, I've been thinking about this video since 2020. I probably didn't do it justice, but I was just thinking for such a long time about some of the things that I see, and I really wanted to talk about it, and I feel that we are kind of in a place where we kind of can. Let me know in the comments below, are some of these challenges surprising? Have you faced all of them? Have you faced none of them? Are there some challenges that you have faced and I perhaps did not mention them? Because again, I don't believe in not talking about those things, because we gotta tune those up. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and if you have someone who is maybe struggling, maybe you can send them this video and make them feel heard. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. See you soon, and goodbye. I would like to take some time to thank my patrons. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons. My 3 anonymous patrons, Alex von Siebenthal, Anne-Margaret Mon, Angela Bernard, Angela Parrish, Anne C., Ashley Hoyas, Beth Gibson, Betsy Catherine Molina, Danube Daniels, Daria Kaminska, Diane Sikorsky, Farah, Gina Geise, Go Green Tropical, Heather Oppenkamp, Hoji Scott, Houseplant Heather, Hoya Heather, Yana Griffin, Jessica Chio, Yavan Denot, Kara, Casey Crows, Kelly Koo, Kelso, Kiwi Mochi, Kristen Sherwood, Leplan de Steph, Mandy Milken, Marcel Har, Marcelina Novosadsky, Mars B, Martina, Alif Perday, Marty Miller, Mary Rose, Melissa Walker, Michael Curley, Nicole Ferranti, Moa Edmond, Neil Yang, Niha Basso, Nicole Moreau, Nicole and Caleb of Sleeve Tropical, Snita Macy, PJ Plan Druid, Rachel Peterson, Robin L. Jennings, Robin Roos, Salome Dal, Sherry Kumar, Stephanie H2O, Sybil Williams, Tanya, Tessa Martins, Tia B, TJWO, Trista Bailey, Wendy Foreman, Wendy Rossman, Xenia Green, Yuta the Walamut, Zordarama, and Zlakovniponi. A big thank you to my $3 patrons, Angelina Farnan, Anna K, Brenda Little, Brana Phillips, Kilon, Claudia L., Erin Keenan, Lindsay, Lisa Helling, Morgan Kennedy, Nella, Plantalenia Ringlov, and Tangwa Tanasria Cole. And a thank you to my $1 patrons: Kari, Christina Greengrass, Constance, Couture Helvetica, Edith W., Emilia Bronson, Joanna Pearson, Jolie Sullivan, Kayla Vavra, Kelly Ash, Lauren M., Lauren Nan Supermanium, Luzman Fernandez, Neely Spicer, and Olivia Chinmuller. Thank you all so much for incredible support. I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you're having a wonderful Sunday. I will see you soon in the next video.